Hello everyone and welcome. Today, we have a couple of different news stories. Nintendo discusses just a little more about their next-gen console, I give some ideas or concepts I would love to see them implement, and we have some details on Majora's Mask and updates it has on the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack. The question we have been asked the most on our podcast, the Hylian Gamescast, since the Majora's Mask announcement was made: when will Majora's Mask release for the Switch? And thanks to a quick trailer drop, we now know it is February 25th. Questions a lot of other people have asked is, how will it play though? If Ocarina of Time received so much negativity, won't Majora's Mask, which is an even more demanding game requiring the Nintendo 64 expansion pack, end up looking or playing even worse? Well, as some of you may know, Nintendo released a statement a while back saying they were aware of fan feedback for Ocarina of Time and would be working to fix it. And I think less than a couple of weeks later, they did. They improved the lighting, the fog, and almost everything fans complained about. Some players even believe the response time from pressing the button until Link performs the action has also improved. Unless Nintendo has gone out of their way to hide graphical bugs or glitches in the trailer, this version of Majora's Mask should satisfy almost everyone. The only negative thing I've seen, which honestly relies on your own personal preference, is the emulator not having certain visuals as transparent as the original, which can be seen in the trailer with the Skull Kid's aura and the atmosphere around the moon falling. However, I personally like the way the new aura looks with more vibrant colors, and we are now able to see the smaller pieces of rock and debris coming off of the moon and gathering around its atmosphere, whereas before, they weren't really noticeable at all. What I am most curious about is to see areas such as the murky water in the Great Bay during the Zora Egg quest. Let me know what you all think. The increase in resolution makes subtle details like this look amazing. While Majora's Mask is normally thought of having a slightly darker aesthetic, this version does have an increase in lighting as well as more vibrant colors. If this is a change you don't like, you can always just turn the brightness on your Switch or TV down. Honestly, to me, it just looks great. I can't wait to play it, but I would still love an official HD remake from 𝗏𝗏 or even Nintendo themselves. Please, comment below and let us know your thoughts on this version of Majora's Mask. And if not Majora's Mask, which Zelda game would you like to see remastered or remade next? Obviously, not by Nintendo taking away development time from Breath of the Wild 2, but one of their second Zelda teams, such as 𝗏𝗏, Tantalus, maybe even Monolith Soft, possibly even Capcom again. Who knows? It's your choice. Now, onto Nintendo's statement on their next-gen console. Nintendo says it's still internally discussing the concept and launch timing for its next gaming system. In a management briefing following the publication of its latest financial results on Thursday, the company included a slide referencing its next gaming system. In quotes. After the briefing, Nintendo touched on its plans for Switch's successor during a Q&A session, which summarized on Twitter by Japan-based analyst and investment advisor David Gibson. Regarding its next-gen plans, Nintendo reportedly said it's still going through internal discussions on the hardware concept and launch timing, suggesting many significant details have yet to be finalized. I have more to say on that a little bit later. I don't think that's completely accurate. The exec claimed Nintendo doesn't have a specific time frame in mind for hardware development, rather it is constantly researching technology in a bid to create new experiences. In a more recent interview with Nikkei, which I probably mispronounced, Furukawa stated, "The hardware and software development teams are in the same building, communicating closely and thinking about how we can propose new forms of entertainment," he said. In order to create a single piece of hardware, we have to do a lot of preparation several years in advance, so we are working without stopping. In the end, the deciding factor in whether or not to commercialize a product is whether it can create a new experience. So, first off, some of this is things that we already knew with just a touch of common sense. Every single large console developer, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, it doesn't matter. You can go back and read interviews time after time. As soon as a new console releases and they are interviewed about that new console, they are always asked, when did you begin development of this new console? How long did it take? And every single time, they always state they began shortly after the previous console released. Second, where it says, regarding its next-gen plans, Nintendo reportedly said it's still going through internal discussions on the hardware concept and launch timing, suggesting many significant details have yet to be finalized. So I think this late into the Nintendo Switch's cycle, almost a year or two into the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series life cycles, I think it's kind of obvious Nintendo would know exactly what their next console will be doing. The specs that it has, what it looks like, new features, all of that would have been planned out in the initial concept phases. Maybe they would go back and forth on the power of the hardware as CPUs, GPUs, other components get less expensive or more expensive. But in most interviews, they'll say that the main features of the consoles are what they really come up with in the beginning. And the reason for that is because in order to have a launch game to take advantage of those features, whether it's Wii's motion control, Switch's touchscreen, or the Wii U's dual screens, they need to begin developing those launch titles for these new consoles 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5 years in advance. They can't wait until the final year and then just rush and include all of the new features or gimmicks into the game to take advantage of the console. That is all something thought out in the very, very beginning. And yes, I know a lot of people believe the Nintendo Switch is Nintendo's final console and truly believe they have no plans for another console. Yes, I know, Nintendo has denied new consoles over and over, the same as they denied they were working on Skyward Sword HD. It would be impossible, they said. Majora's Mask 3D. They would only be releasing one 3DS model, then released 6. Denied a Switch with a smaller or larger screen, saying not being able to play on both the TV and in handheld mode, and freely being able to switch between both at any time would ruin the entire purpose of the Nintendo Switch. Yet, we still received the Switch Lite not long after. They stated they had no plans for mobile games, they would never be getting into that side of the business, then immediately beginning development. You've all heard me go through this list of Nintendo denying dozens and dozens of things only to come out and confirm that yes, the rumors and leaks were true the entire time. You've probably heard me go through all of that countless times by now. This is very common though. Nintendo isn't the only gaming company to deny rumors or leaks that everyone already knows is likely 100% true. Sony and Microsoft famously denied their own PlayStation 4 Pro and Xbox One X half-gen consoles as well, only to announce them a month or two later. So yes, whether it's similar to the PlayStation 4 Pro and is a half-generation leap like the rumored Switch Pro, a true next-generation console, a Switch 2, or a brand new console completely different from the Switch, and anything else that we could think of. It will likely be announced, if not releasing, within the next year or so. And I honestly think it would have released already if it wasn't for the pandemic, as well as all of the CPU chip shortages that are going on. Nintendo even came out and admitted for the holiday season they didn't even think they would have enough to just produce the amount of current Nintendo Switch consoles, which they had planned. There's a lot of reports talking about the Switch OLED was originally meant to be the Switch Pro, or a new Nintendo Switch, with slightly better performance, but due to the chip shortage, they ended up having to reuse the same chips and processors found in the original Switch. One of the main features I would like to see is a return of some sort of dual screen function. Don't require it to be played in dual screen like the original Splatoon, but give it the option to be. Let's say I have a Nintendo Switch. We know a Switch can connect to another Switch, and they can even do some weird magic nonsense to virtually have one screen extend to the screen of another Switch. There's several games that utilize this feature, so I would like to see something along the lines of, in the same way the Wii U could transmit video from the console to the Wii U gamepad, and the Wii U gamepad just had basic, super cheap processors, just enough to run video, while all of the graphic processing actually went on inside the console, which directly connected to the TV. Reverse that, so the Wii U gamepad, or the Switch in this case, or Switch 2, still has all of the power, but it also has the feature, just as the Wii U did, to send a signal from the Switch console to a new version of a dock, or even if a second Switch is needed inside the dock, and have it give us a similar two-screen experience. This could easily be used to have access to the map and everything on the Switch you're playing in your hand while the actual game is being played on the TV. Again, similar to the 3DS or DS's second screen and the Wii U gamepad. It wouldn't require much more processing. This is my idea of a way to combine the second screens of the 3DS or the Wii U with the portability and full experience of the Nintendo Switch, or Switch 2 in this case. That way, Nintendo will have a place to bring all of those Wii U and 3DS games that will be going away on the Nintendo eShop. A lot of great Wii U games, and even 3DS games, have been ported over to the Switch and are amazing. They only require the one screen, but there are some games which were designed from the ground up to make use of two separate screens. A quick example is Nintendo Land. Some of those mini games just wouldn't be possible with a single screen. So this would be a way to bring a Nintendo Land-like experience, or one of your other favorite dual screen games, to the Switch. Let me know what you guys think. I have been working on another video which has gathered every interview, statement, job listing, and more from Nintendo, Nvidia, third parties, and others, which talks about Nintendo's next console, or I should say consoles, and some of the interviews describe completely different consoles. Check back in a day or two for that specific video. Just as with this one and all of our other videos, screenshots of each interview, quote, or statement will be on the screen to provide proof and sources for all of the information, because there's always that one person, even if we have a video of Miyamoto himself saying something, someone is always there to say we're making it up or it's clickbait, despite Mr. Nintendo himself being the one to give the information. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Happy Halloween. Thanks for watching. We have a few new Patreon supporters that I would like to give a thank you to. If you would like your own shout out, then head over to patreon.com/GameOverJesse, where you can receive a ton of different rewards while helping us out. Those of you who are just donating a single $1, that really does help more than you would think. Thank you Monica Spath, NORNARB, Shadow to Us, SOBERX, 𝗓𝗛𝗄𝗧, Natsu, Rusty Caulfield, Zoe M, Candy, David Guthman, Ashton Wren, BKRS7, Blargnar, Chad Costin, Gus Calvo, Henry, Jesse Birch, Jesse Wood, Jon Snow, Larulian Sheep, Lovable Christie, Mr. Monocled Metroid, Super NX64, and ZAIN.